You know that person you just can't get out of your head? No matter how much time passes, how many new connections you try to make, or how many times you tell yourself you're over it, it comes back. It always comes back. And no, this is not just emotional attachment or affective memory. There is something much deeper, and spiritually powerful, going on there. What few people know is that certain souls do not meet by chance, they recognize each other, because they already knew each other. What if I told you that this lingering feeling can be a sign of spiritual mission? That the bond that binds you to that person was woven lifetimes ago? That this reunion of souls is not a coincidence, but a call from the soul screaming for attention? It may seem like esoteric talk, but the truth is that many people live this type of connection and think they are going crazy, when in fact it is awakening. This video will open your eyes, and perhaps your heart, to something no one has told you. The connection you feel may be a spiritual pact that transcends time and space. And understanding this can completely change how you deal with this invisible but overwhelming love. Are you ready to find out what's behind this bond that haunts you like a silent shadow? If this touched you in any way, comment below the word reunion. I will know that your soul understood the message. Do you know that stubborn, almost uncomfortable feeling of remembering someone for no apparent reason? No matter what time or life throws in the way, this person comes back to mind like a constant echo. It is as if there were an invisible tie, a silent thread of energy that pulsates between two connected souls. This phenomenon, while inexplicable at first glance, may be the initial sign of a shared spiritual mission. When the call of the soul knocks on the door, he doesn't ask for permission, he just walks in and messes it up. It is common that, even after years without contact, that person's name comes up in random conversations, songs, dreams, or even on social networks by chance. But is it really by chance? Or is it the frequency of the soul trying to tune in again with those who shared a spiritual pact in past lives? Some say that the universe screams in whispers, and this insistent thought can be a form of veiled scream. Ignoring this is like trying to silence the sound of the sea, possible for an instant, useless in the long run. People who share a soul purpose rarely forget. Even if everything seems finished on the surface, inside, there is a feeling of unfinished, of something that needs to be lived, understood, or finished. The spiritual soulmate, unlike the idealized romance, carries a deeper function, to remind you of who you really are. And you can't run away from those who ignite their essence with a simple look, right? To understand if this is happening to you, it is worth observing the patterns. Do you get chills just hearing that person's name? Have you tried everything to forget her, but something always brings her back? This isn't madness, it's a spiritual call asking for your attention. At these times, guided meditations for divine connection can help interpret the signs and understand what this soul wants to communicate. Don't ignore the nuisance, it can be the invitation to your spiritual awakening. And if you feel that this presence has never left you, even with time and distance, it may be time to accept that there is something greater at stake. A spiritual bond does not disappear, it only changes form until it is understood. And it is precisely in this subtle turn that something extraordinary can happen. There are meetings that do not ask permission, they simply happen. The person enters your life and, in a matter of seconds, the heart recognizes it even before the mind processes it. It is as if the soul cries out, "Finally, you have arrived." This feeling of reunion of souls is strong, almost frightening because it is so real. The divine connection manifests itself in a simple glance, a brief touch, or even a shared silence. Often, this spiritual recognition is immediate and illogical. No matter the appearance, age, or context, the soul knows. It could be that friend you just met, but it seems like you've known for ages. Or someone you see for the first time but feel like you've loved in past lives. This is not daydreaming, it is the memory of the soul. And when spiritual love is manifested, it transcends any rational understanding. This kind of invisible lasso requires no words. There is something in the way the person talks, laughs, or just exists that activates in you a sense of home. It's as if a lost part of you has come back. And the most curious? It can happen in unusual places, in a bank line, in a yoga class, or even on that random day when you decided to leave aimlessly. The soul's purpose does not choose the right time, it only fulfills its mission. If you've ever felt that kind of internal shock, where your heart feels like running a marathon just being around someone, take it seriously. This can be the beginning of a deep spiritual bond. Try writing about this feeling, recording what you felt and looking for signs in the following days. Synchronicities usually appear soon after this type of contact. They are clues from the universe, confirming that the soul's call has been activated. And when that happens, everything changes. The perspective changes. Priorities change. Because now, you know that something bigger is in motion. Something that goes far beyond the physical meeting, and that can lead you to even deeper discoveries about your spiritual mission in this life. Not every soul comes into the world alone, some arrive in pairs, trios, or even groups, with the spiritual mission of supporting each other. They are souls connected by a common purpose, to heal, to awaken, to transform. Have you ever met someone who, just being close, seems to activate you? It's not just affinity, it's a spiritual pact. There is a divine motive behind certain connections that arise at the right time, in the right way, to do exactly what was needed. These souls often share intense moments, both of light and shadow. They come to activate each other's spiritual awakening, and this can happen in uncomfortable ways. Sometimes, the other challenges you, confronts you, shows you wounds that you didn't even know existed. But that's where the magic lies. These experiences bring you closer to your soul purpose. And growing spiritually is almost never comfortable. You can recognize this type of soul by a few signs: deep conversations that flow naturally, life projects that intertwine, or a sense of joint mission. It could be a work partner who inspires you in inexplicable ways, or someone you meet who feels like you need to do something important together. The frequency of the soul vibrates in harmony with these people, creating a magnetic field that is difficult to ignore. And the most beautiful thing is that these souls do not come to compete, but to add. They recognize each other's brilliance and work together like mirrors. When they are aligned, they are able to transform environments, heal old pains, and create projects with real impact on the world. If you feel that someone awakens this in you, maybe it's time to ask, what do we have to build together? What is the spiritual mission that unites us? The answer may not come immediately, but the signs. Oh, the signs are everywhere. And it is when you begin to see them clearly that you understand. Some souls do not meet by chance, they meet again by divine necessity. Ah, the spiritual separation. That part hurts. When two connected souls drift apart, it seems that the world loses some of its luster. But calm down, this does not mean that the bond is over. Quite the opposite. Sometimes separation is the most important stage of spiritual mission. It is in it that the soul matures, learns to trust, and understands that spiritual love is also freedom, not possession. The spiritual soul mate can leave, yes. But the spiritual bond you have lives on, even in silence. This distancing can come due to phase differences, emotional immaturity, or simply because each one needs to walk alone for a while. And look, walking alone does not mean walking without the other. It means preparing to meet him again in a more conscious, stronger, more awake way. If you're going through this, use this time to grow. Do an emotional detox, reconnect with your soul purpose, immerse yourself in self-knowledge. Practices such as therapeutic writing, mindful breathing, and spiritual retreats help to reframe the pain of separation. Remember, the universe never takes something away without preparing the ground for something bigger. Separation is the spiritual training before the jump. And you know what's curious? Even far away, you feel the presence. Sometimes, a smell in the air, a song, a memory of nothing. The invisible news still pulsates. This is the call of the soul saying, it's not over yet. There's still more to come. But now, more than ever, it is necessary to trust. Trust that everything has a time, and that each step has a reason. Because, you see, spiritual love is not measured in time or physical presence. He proves himself in his absence. And it is precisely in this void that the universe begins to send the signals that there is something being aligned. Something that, when it arrives, will make all this have made sense. Have you ever noticed how the universe loves to leave clues? When there is a true spiritual bond between two souls, signs begin to pop up from all sides. It's no coincidence to see the person's name repeatedly, dream about them at key moments, or find specific symbols that only make sense to the two of you. It's codes of life telling you, hey, this is deeper than it sounds. The frequency of the soul communicates beyond words. Some people even feel physically, a tightness in the chest, a longing for no reason, or a different energy when the connected soul is distant or going through something. This is real, and it is common among those who share a spiritual covenant. The divine connection between you manifests in a sensory, emotional, and even energetic way. You feel when the other soul suffers, even if it's miles away. A very strong signal is when the universe repeats the same message over and over again, in different ways. You see the same numbers, like 1111 or 2222, or you hear the same phrase in different places. These accidents are actually forms of spiritual communication. A simple example, you think of the person and, at the same time, they send you a message. Coincidence? No. Call of the soul? Most likely. It is important to pay attention and, more than that, to write it down. Keeping a spiritual journal can help you organize these signs and identify patterns. Many people underestimate these synchronicities, but they are maps that guide you back to your spiritual mission. If something repeats frequently, investigate. Ask your heart, it understands more than meets the eye. And when the signals start to increase in intensity, it's usually because something is about to happen. A reunion of souls. A change of course. Life never gives complete spoilers, but it sets the stage. And those who learn to listen understand that the universe speaks softly, but he speaks accurately. There are people who, even far away, heal just by existing. Her presence crosses time and space as if the universe had installed a spiritual Bluetooth between you. You don't need a video call, text or hug, this person's energy reaches you in an almost magical way. And it's not an exaggeration, it's the divine connection operating in subtle ways. When two souls are in tune, distance becomes a detail. This kind of spiritual bond is rare, but when it happens, you know. It's that someone you feel in your chest, who brings you calm on chaotic days, who inspires your best ideas even without being around. It could be a mentor, a spiritual love, or even someone you haven't seen in years. But the vibration he left in you lives on, acting like a silent bomb. This is more than memory, it is frequency of the soul. Often, this connected soul appears at decisive moments in your life, drives you without knowing it, sends you strength only with thought. Have you ever been on the verge of giving up on something and, out of nowhere, feeling an inner strength that keeps you going? You bet, this comes from someone who is spiritually by your side, even if physically absent. Energy is not limited to the physical, it vibrates in the invisible. If you've ever felt this, here's a powerful practice: write an energy letter to that person, even if you're never going to deliver it. Say what you feel, what you have learned, what you want. This writing is not for her, it's for you to understand that this spiritual love still pulsates in you. And this alone, already has an immense healing power. Because sometimes, the most healing presence is not in the room, but within the soul. And it is in this kind of silent connection that true spiritual awakening begins to blossom, even without fanfare, even without touch. Not all spiritual love is born to live a happily ever after romantic movie. Sometimes, he comes up with a much greater mission, to elevate, to teach, to transform. Love between connected souls can come disguised as friendship, partnership, or even as an impossible love, one of those that life does not let happen in the traditional way. But the intensity is there, alive, vibrating at a frequency of the soul that only those who feel it, understand. This kind of divine connection challenges the ego. It is not based on possession, jealousy, or social conventions. It is rooted in a spiritual pact that says, I came to help you be who you were born to be. This could mean supporting in the darkest moments, pulling your ear when you need to, or simply existing as a constant reminder that you're not alone on this journey. Many spiritual soulmates are reunited to fulfill a collective healing mission, not a personal one. Together, they create projects, causes, movements. They don't need to be married, living together, or updating their Instagram status. What they share is too sacred to fit into labels. Have you ever heard of two people who changed the world without ever experiencing a romance? That's that. This is spiritual love in its pure state. If you feel something strong for someone, but don't understand why they can't be together the way you imagined, question, does this bond have another purpose? What kind of transformation is this love asking of you? Maybe it's not to live in the body, but to flourish in the soul. And this requires spiritual maturity, patience, and a surrender that goes beyond what the ego desires. And when the penny drops, everything changes. Because then you start to see that the true reunion of souls is not about living a perfect love, but about living a love that moves you towards your essence. And sometimes, this movement calls for something even more challenging. Release. Perhaps this is the most difficult verb to conjugate when it comes to a spiritual bond. But freeing someone you love deeply may be just the final step in the spiritual mission you share. And no, that doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting in the bigger plan. Sometimes, the call of the soul requires detachment so that each one can fulfill their part of the journey, even if the paths fork for a while. This process hurts, and a lot. Because it's not about forgetting, but about allowing the other to fly, even when everything in you screams to hold on. But here's the hard and sacred truth, the connected soul needs to grow, and that doesn't always happen alongside us. It is at this moment that the spiritual pact deepens, because truly loving is also liberating, without losing love. Many think that, if it is meant to be, fate will find a way. But when it comes to soul reunion, it's not about destiny, it's about evolution. If the invisible bond between you is real, it does not break. It stretches, transforms, resignifies itself, until, one day, the frequencies align again. What if they don't come back? Still, the soulful purpose that you came to live together has been fulfilled. A powerful practice at this time is the ritual of forgiveness and surrender. Write down the person's name, thank them for everything they have experienced, and say mentally, I release you for your mission, just as I release myself for mine. Do this with intention and faith. You will feel an immediate relief, as if a part of your soul finally breathes peacefully. Spiritual separation, in this case, becomes an act of deep love. And if there is a reunion, it will be with new versions. With more mature, more conscious, freer souls. Because true spiritual love does not die. He just waits for the right time to bloom again. And when that moment comes, oh, when it comes. If you've come this far, it's because something inside you has recognized those words. Maybe it was a memory, a hidden emotion, or even that presence you feel even when no one is around. The fact is, you are not alone on this journey. There are bonds that defy logic, and connections that have a much bigger mission than just being together physically. Now, tell me sincerely. How long will you ignore the signs? Will you continue to call coincidence what your soul has already understood as purpose? Maybe it's time to stop running away and start listening to what the universe is trying to show you. Because if that person does not leave your heart, it is because there is still something to be understood, lived, or released. So I ask you, what has your soul not yet learned from this connection? What is the next step you need to take, with courage, to move toward your spiritual truth? Life will not wait, and neither will spiritual awakening. Take everything you've learned here and put it into practice, because real change only happens when we act consciously. If you felt that this content spoke directly to you, comment here on the word liberation. I want to know who is ready to live the mission of the soul with maturity and faith. And of course, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue receiving deep content like this. Your journey is just beginning, and I'll be here to walk by your side.